All right, I've waited long enough. I'm ready to buy my Steam Deck. $789 for the 512 gig? All right, there's gotta be a better price than this. Hold up. Oh my God, the MSI one is $1,200? Lenovo Legion Go for $1,089? Oh, and of course, the ROG Xbox Ally X, $1,000. Man, I wonder if Matt has any ideas. Yo, wake up. I need a cheap handheld like now.
Wait. Oh, how about this one?
How much?
$599, and it's actually from ROG.
ROG Cheap? Nah, you're high, bro.
I'm not high, I'm just a little sleepy, but this handheld for $599 might actually be a good value, especially on the new market. We'll unbox it and I'll show you exactly what I mean after a word from today's sponsor.
Hey Matt, are you building a gaming PC in 2026?
Yeah, even though PC parts are very expensive right now, you can actually save a lot of money on your Windows activation to get good price to performance.
How? Isn't it like $200 for Windows?
Not with today's video sponsor, GVGMall. They're our go-to option when activating Windows on any gaming PC.
Oh duh, GVGMall. You just use the link in the description down below, pick your version of Windows, and then add it to the cart.
Be sure to use our exclusive discount code TB20 to save 25% off your Windows license purchase, which will get your cost down to $26.
So once you purchase your key, the code is then digitally sent to you, and then all you have to do is go into your settings, find the activation settings, and then copy and paste your Windows key, and then boom, it's activated.
So big thanks again to GVGMall for sponsoring today's video. Now, let's dive back into it, shall we? All right, so what we have on the table right here is the ROG Xbox Ally, not to be confused with the ROG Xbox Ally X, which is the bigger brother of this handheld that comes in around $1,000. This is the cut down version with a Z2A processor and a couple other things that are different, but the reason we're doing this video, and this thing isn't new, it's been out for a while, is the fact that all these handhelds in the market right now, especially new handhelds, are getting so expensive. The Steam Deck is not the only one, but this one, for some reason, from Asus ROG, the company known for being very expensive, is actually the cheapest option you can buy new, normally for $599.
And somehow it's kind of slipped under the radar. I mean, the fact that you can still go out and buy it new right now is pretty cool. And you may not need all of those features that you're paying for with the $1,000 handhelds like from MSI, Lenovo, or even the bigger brother, the X. And that's what we're gonna show you today. We're gonna show you that maybe buying the cheapest handheld may be the best option, especially if you're trying to go new, because let's be real, the used market for handhelds usually sucks. They're often scalped.
All right, so we're gonna open this thing up and I'm talking about the key differences you should know between this and its bigger brother. The one thing is that Z2A processor, which is only a 4-core 8-threaded processor, very similar to the original Steam Deck when it comes to processing horsepower, which again, this is significantly cheaper than the Steam Deck is right now. The display on this thing is exactly the same as its bigger brother as well. It is a 7-inch display that is 1080p 120 hertz. It does have less storage. It only has 512 gigs of storage. It does have less RAM, 16 gigs versus 24 gigs of RAM, and a slightly smaller battery. We got 60 milliamp hours versus 80 milliamp hours. You like the little stand that comes with it?
I thought the box was empty because I opened it and it was this, and I was like, oh my God, something's already gotten taken out. It's a cardboard stand. I mean, I guess it's better than no stand.
It's better than no stand,
works.
especially if you're gonna dock this thing, which is a good benefit of using a handheld. You have the ability to dock it, and especially with this running Windows 11, for PC use case, that's great. For handheld, we'll talk a little bit more about that in our personal preference.
And obviously it's a nice display. Now obviously in typical Asus ROG Ally fashion, we gotta have some good looks here, right? So you get the nice RGB rings around the Joy-Cons, and obviously you kind of get more of like an ergo design with these. It's a little bit more like holding a giant controller rather than, I know like the Steam Deck and the Switch are generally kind of flat, which some people don't really love. And speaking of Steam Deck, we got one right there.
Now this thing is not powered on because it has been sitting for a little bit, but if we're talking about design differences, this handheld in my opinion is much more ergonomic. It is a little bit on the thicker side though compared to the normal Steam Deck. This is much thinner. This is the Steam Deck OLED, by the way. The body is pretty much the same as the normal one, but this is the one you would be buying for a lot of money, like close to $1,000 for a handheld like this, while this one for $599, again, not an OLED display, but still a pretty nice display that is high refresh rate.
Now obviously this handheld, and I really think pretty much all of them, you can put pretty much any OS you want on them. Realistically, almost none of them are like locked down per se. We actually have Windows running on this one, and you know, it does have some of its Windows quirks, like being a little weird in the controller part of things. But if you can get around that, you can play any game that you want on here.
And the beauty that Xbox is trying to partner with Asus on with this, and in our original review of the Xbox Ally X, we talk much more about it, is to create more of an Xbox-like experience within Windows, so it's more handheld friendly. They do make it better, but it is still not perfect. In an untraditional Toasty Bros fashion, we actually did the gaming on this before this unboxing just to get our use with it. And I know you had some weird quirks that you'll talk about or see during the benchmarks that just end up happening within Windows that you really can't control, and why I normally prefer people go with like a SteamOS or other operating system on these handhelds.
Yeah, I mean, when you're doing Windows, it's not like it's designed for a controller in mind. So like there was at one point I needed to log into my Microsoft account when I was in Halo. I was tapping the screen, I looked like a boomer. I'm pressing all these buttons, on-screen keyboard just wouldn't pull up. I literally had to plug a keyboard in to type in my info. There may be a way around this. I'm sure there's some, you could probably type in, with Windows normally you can type in keyboard and you'll get an on-screen one. But it's just those small things that kind of like add up. So it's just something to keep in mind when you're buying a handheld and you're gonna put something like Windows on it.
Now there are a bunch of buttons on here that you should know about if you wanna control this handheld. Again, some hotkeys that make things a little more easier. You have the Xbox button right here, which allows you to pop up this on-screen display that gives you quick access to a bunch of different things, especially when in the full screen Xbox experience mode. You get access to all the stuff here. Armory Crate is of course the background software on this handheld that allows you to control TDP, brightness, and things like that. We are currently running on max brightness, which again, we're on studio lighting, so it is a little dim, but it's not the most bright display in the world.
I was kind of feeling, you'll see that in the benchmarks, there were times like in Halo where I was like, I need to get to like a brighter part of the map because like I can't see.
And in terms of the power profiles, obviously you get the built-in 15 watts. You also get a silent mode 6 watts, performance mode also on 15. This is just the Windows-based one, and this is one that is designed for gaming specifically, and a turbo mode, which can be unlocked a little bit higher when you plug in the handheld. Honestly, even on turbo mode, I noticed most of the games would exceed the 20 watts that it's rated at. Yep. They'll go 30 watts, especially you probably saw it in Forza. Those kind of games will really pull even more power just to maintain a good FPS experience. And again, with this being a 1080p display, you gotta be kind of okay with some upscaling and or lowering the resolution, because a lot of those demanding games, especially on this processor compared to the Ally X, is gonna be a bit more cut down and you're not gonna get a full 60 FPS experience.
Another thing I noticed too is if you're running the turbo mode and you're playing a game, like a higher end game especially that's pushing it, when you're pulling like 33 watts on this console, you're losing about 1% per minute. So realistically, you could drain the battery on this in about 120 minutes, so maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours. If you're just straight running through a game, you're not gonna get the longest battery life, so that's why they give you those modes, so that if you're playing a kind of cut down game that, let's just say, doesn't need a whole lot of horsepower, you might be able to get a couple to few hours instead.
So you might be wondering, when we're listing off all these cons, why are we actually doing this video talking about this handheld? Well, the real reason is when it comes to handhelds, we both agree that they should be like a complementary piece to your setup and not necessarily a replacement for anything, really. They're really cool to have for on-the-go gaming or those who like to tinker and try some emulation and playing older backlog games, but they're really not meant to replace your gaming PC. The problem is the other handhelds, like you mentioned, are getting so expensive. They're in that territory where you're buying a full gaming PC for that price. It makes no sense to buy another one again that's going to be so cut down. So this being budget, even though it is cut down the hardware department, it makes more sense for a PC gamer to buy this as a secondary device than to buy a $1,000 or $2,000 device, unless you're just a big baller with a 5090 PC already and you just want it just to want it. If you are value conscious at all, the price of this thing is way more appealing.
So of course, one thing that's fun is you do get ports on this, because you gotta remember this is like a crossover between a laptop and a console and a handheld. So on the back side of the console, we get a power button. We have a combo headphone jack that can do things like audio in and audio out. We actually get a micro SD card slot, which is cool because you can use these for extra game storage and pictures and whatnot. We have a volume rocker here, and then we have two USB-Cs that both can be used for charging. And also to get more specific on the USB-Cs, the one on the far right here is actually Thunderbolt 4, and the one on the left here is USB 3.2. And that's basically it, besides some air vents and whatnot. And then, I mean, there's no other ports anywhere else on the console. It's pretty simple.
So we're gonna go ahead and do, again, we kind of mentioned we've already done some gaming on this device. We're gonna show you guys those gaming results, testing a bunch of different games, more than we normally do, because with these handhelds, we wanna show you guys a variety of what you can expect and what you can't expect when it comes to performance. And then we'll come to a conclusion about this handheld and the market of handhelds in general. They're getting really expensive, and that's not to say that this won't get expensive soon. If it gets any more expensive, it may just be in the same territory as a Steam Deck, and handhelds aren't really worth it for the price. But we're gonna show you guys what it can do so you guys can decide at home, should I buy a handheld now or wait for something else to come out?
All right, guys, this is Left 4 Dead 2, and this is a classic Valve game right here. And this is kind of like a staple on a handheld, I feel like. We always test it out because Left 4 Dead 1, Left 4 Dead 2, they're just great games to play on controller and console in general. That's kind of how I look at the handhelds, is if you would play it on a console, non-competitively, it's going to be good for a handheld. Competitive games, obviously, not the greatest for handhelds. I'm sure there's some people out there who can do it. We're definitely not one of them. This game's pulling the least wattage so far. We're using 27 watts, so less than the 30. We're still in the highest profile. One thing I keep in mind with handhelds, battery life. It's always going to be a concern, especially when you're running like the higher wattage presets, which I feel like most people usually would, unless if you're running really low in games, you could run these lower presets no problem. But obviously, most of the games that we're running here, we need a little bit more in the wattage side, so we are probably going down about 1% per minute, I would say, give or take. So in theory, if you're at 100% running the highest wattage mode and the game is utilizing it, you may only get about 100 minutes of gameplay, so hour and a half, 2 hours maybe, which I guess lines up. But anyways, hey, Left 4 Dead, we're getting well over 80 FPS, times we're hitting 100. I mean, so far it's looking really good. Like I said, if I'm buying a handheld, I'm just buying whatever the cheapest one in the market is. I don't really have a ton of preference. And the fact that this one can run like Windows, whatever distro you want, if you're doing Linux, that's pretty nice.
All right, guys, we are now loading into Fortnite. I will show you guys real quick the power profile we are running as we are loading in. Well, maybe I should let it load in first before I try to activate the power profile. As you guys can see, we are running the turbo power profile. As you can see, we are plugged up right now, but this is just for internet because right now the room I'm in has pretty horrible Wi-Fi. So I just wanted to ensure I had a secure connection before we actually dove into this to test the performance in this game. But we're currently running the following settings. We're going to drop in actually, but we're running 1080p. Unlimited frame rate on performance mode with a render res about 50% and view distance at medium, textures at medium, meshes at low. All right, first thing I am noticing in this game is the meshes and the actual textures are really struggling to load in. It does look like it's a network thing though, which is quite weird because I am not running on the Wi-Fi right now. So we'll check that once I land in here. Oh, hello. All right, I'm gonna see if I can survive. We're getting some network errors. I don't know if it's due to my internet connection or the actual game or just chunks struggling to load in. Oh goodness. I don't know how to play Fortnite on controller, this is crazy. Let's go. Oh gosh, can we kill the AI? Am I capable of beating AI? Yeah, let's go. I can do it. We're maintaining about 50 to 60 FPS on these settings, and it looks pretty decent. At times we're getting 60 to 70 FPS, which is more than playable, honestly. But we're gonna go ahead and keep running here, see if things settle out even more. Now, would I consider this a competitive Fortnite device? Most certainly not, because I'm about to die here. Move, boy, move, tone. And we do have a few settings we can tweak. Again, we are running at 1080p with the render res scale. We could drop down to 720p as well. And if we were plugged up to power, we would get a little bit more running a higher turbo profile. But again, this is a gaming handheld, so I always like to test these things when they're running off battery, because that's more realistic on how you're gonna wanna use this thing. And it looks like things are settling out now. The ping has chilled finally. It's not tweaking anymore, and we're getting about 80 to 100 FPS actually now. I wonder if things are just a little slow to load in. It might be due to the system memory allocation as well. Windows 11 just using up a lot of resources. Got aim assist, and this is absolutely insane. That's why people play on controller in Fortnite. The aim assist is actually kind of cracked, especially in zero build. So I'm currently at about, I would say 75% brightness. Actually, it was like 80% brightness. We'll crank it up a little bit, see what that looks like. I don't want to blow it out too much on camera, but the brightness looks pretty solid. I'll keep it back where it was. Yeah, somewhere around here. It looks pretty good. The 120 hertz display, even when you're above 60, you feel that 120 hertz. It definitely adds to the gaming experience. It's much smoother, but obviously if you want to save on battery, capping that frame rate to 60 will be much better in terms of keeping your battery at the proper levels. Let's see if I can find somewhere to hide. I know I have the MSI Afterburner overlay on, but Armored Crate has their own overlay too, which should show us FPS numbers. I would have more on the MSI Afterburner overlay, but for some reason MSI Afterburner is not picking up our iGPU. So that's the main reason why it just has the FPS numbers currently. But let's go ahead and see if I can get the Armored Crate one to work real quick without dying. Let's get rid of the Afterburner overlay, close that, go to Armory Crate, and look at that. I tried to swap to the other overlay and it caused the game to crash. Don't you love that? don't do what I just did. But Fortnite, you saw the performance. When it was working just fine before I decided to close out the overlay and launch another one, it was running decently smooth. Let's go ahead and try another game with that overlay actually on.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are playing Forza Horizon 6 because this is a really solid handheld game, and it's new. You know, it's fun. It looks really good. Okay. A little bit of load-in lag there, it looked like. But yeah, as you guys can see, right now we are getting, what are we at? Getting about 38 FPS. Honestly, on a screen this small, it really is hard to tell just how much upscaling or what kind of FPS you're really getting, because it actually looks fairly smooth. Even though we're getting what I would describe as like, on a desktop as very limited playable FPS. Now right now we are actually running the highest mode we can. We are on the turbo profile, which is 20 watts. We're actually pulling a little more overall. I mean, we're pulling, it looks like 33 watts, which is pretty crazy. And let's see what settings we're actually running. So it looks like right now we are running 1080p, so we're running like native res essentially. And let's see, we are running low settings. So 1080p low settings, we have any upscaling on? Let's see. Yep, we have performance FSR. So we're about as low as it could go besides just going down to 720p, which honestly might yield you another like 10 FPS maybe. But overall playable. It's not really super hot or anything. I don't even know if, I mean, I think the Steam Deck would probably run this a little worse, maybe with better upscaling though. This does have Windows on it too, so obviously when you're running Windows, you may get a little less performance than running like a native Linux distro. I mean, hey, Forza is very playable. If I hit one more car, I'm gonna freak out. So let's go ahead and test out another game.
All right, guys, so we are in another game. We were currently playing Batman, Lego Batman to be specific, and I wanted to do a little check-in. Where did my overlay go, by the way? Service is being updated. Seriously, you're really doing an update right now? This is when you decide to do an update right now. Now, the reason I was checking in, well, one, that was very weird and good timing to show you guys that bugginess, but secondly, we're still compiling shaders right now, running the turbo profile. It has been a little bit. That is the one downside with the CPU in this handheld. It's more cut down than other ones that you would normally get. And we talked about this during the unboxing. The price being so cheap, it's cheap for a reason, especially with the performance you're getting. So waiting for these shaders to load has been a process. It has taken a while. And if you're running this on battery, just realistically, you're sitting here, you're probably draining like 5% of your battery sitting here for shaders to load in, which isn't ideal. But again, we're still gonna give it the benefit of the doubt and show the performance, but just wanted to jump in real quick and show this part because I think it's important for gamers to know with these handhelds, while they're good if you play lower end games, if you try to run these higher end games that they can run, it can take a little while to get stuff up and running on a system that normally, even on budget PCs, this shader does not take very long to load. So we'll check back in once we're in the game. All right, guys, we are now in Lego Batman running the following settings here. Let's go to the settings menu. Of course, I hit the Xbox button. Nope, don't do that. Back up. We're running the following settings. If you go to options here and go under video, we're running 1080p. We have FSR set to performance, and we currently have FSR set to performance, and we're running low details. This is probably pretty demanding for this little chip, but right now we're getting about 50 FPS. I'm about to move this out of the way, and once we go in here, we'll actually be able to fight some bosses here and see if the FPS holds up. Realistically, on a handheld like this, if we're getting 40 to 50 FPS, it's not bad. It's just not a preferred way I would like to play a game like this. I would like at least a lock 60. But, you know, with this chip, this is kind of what I expected, at least in this part of the game. And there are more demanding parts of the game that may end up giving us more fits. Oh, goodness, I didn't mean to do that. But I think this is more than playable. Currently, you can see our battery's at 68%, getting about 40 or so FPS. This is pretty realistic of what we can expect playing a game like this. Controls feel good. The buttons are good. Asus did a really good job with the hardware. The ergonomics of this is really nice. It's very similar to the Ally X, the more expensive one. So ergonomically, this is a really nice handheld to game on. It's just really the performance and how much you're giving up. Now, you are saving a lot of money over the Xbox Ally X. You're talking a difference of roughly $400. So if you are playing mainly older games, this will still work perfectly fine. You're getting some decent performance, but I don't know. This seems fair to me. I did have the complaint about the shaders loading in, and that's gonna be something you have to deal with. And battery life, we are dropping battery pretty quickly on this power profile. So this would probably be one where you maybe get an hour and a half, an hour gaming session out of it, and then you would want to hit a battery bank or end up plugging this thing up to the wall. So, because right now we are turboing up to 32 watts. We're not just staying at the 20 watt profile. It's knowing it needs to boost up even higher to get even more frames to maintain the 40 to 50 FPS range. We do also have frame gen. We can turn on frame gen. I'm actually curious to see if that'll break things. Like how I constantly hit the Xbox button. It's not the button I want to hit. So just for the fun of it, I'm gonna go ahead and turn on some frame gen. Normally frame gen is not recommended at FPS below 60 because it isn't super smooth. But since we have FSR frame gen, of course restart required for that. We ain't gonna do that. It ain't worth all that because we're probably gonna recompile shaders again. So overall, I think Lego Batman on lower details is playable at 1080p. 720p probably be the best if you want to get a locked 60 FPS experience, 720p with upscaling. But let's go ahead and try some other games.
All right, guys, we are now testing out some Halo Reach, and this is on the Master Chief Collection. We're currently just running the original graphics because this one actually looked pretty decent. So you really didn't need to, you really didn't have to run the enhanced graphics if you didn't want to. And as you can see, running original graphics, you know, we're pulling like 33 watts and we're doing 90 FPS. Sorry, I'm such a chud driver, guys. Come on now, hurry up. Hurry up, George. See if we get any FPS drops driving around here. That's an ostrich, not an enemy. Oh, I ran him over. Yeah, I mean, we're maintaining like 80 plus FPS pretty well. So obviously these handhelds may not play, you know, the ones that aren't the extreme, you know, where they're running the most insane CPU. They may not run every single game out there, but you gotta remember, you're paying, this is the cheapest handheld you can get, and it's a freaking ROG Ally, which is kind of crazy. Because at one point, these were kind of the more premium ones, you know, kind of like the, what was the Lenovo Go. Those were all like the premium, the Steam Deck was the cheapest, and now it's kind of like almost opposite, slash this one just being one of the only remaining cheap ones. So it's pretty interesting to see, and I mean, this clearly still performs really good. You don't seem to need much more than this, especially when it's a handheld. I mean, most people are going to be playing games that are just kind of fun, you know, indie, older games, stuff like that, where you don't really need super high-end performance. So, hey, Halo definitely gets a pass. I got one more game to test out.
All right, another game we're going to test is Lies of P, which is a Souls-like game that runs pretty well on most handhelds. And we're currently running the following settings. We are at the 1080p resolution, max frame rate set to 60. I'm actually going to set that to unlimited here just so we can see. We'll turn off VSync as well. We have performance upscaling with frame gen off. We actually do get frame gen support in this game if you want to. And we're running a low preset on graphics. So let's go ahead and back out here and see what we're getting. We're getting 60, a few dips below, but 40 to 50 FPS on average. This is one I'm definitely going to crank the brightness on real quick. Let's go to our power profile here real quick. Up that display brightness so you can see a little bit more what's happening. But this is a Souls-like game that runs very well on controller. Again, we're still getting some slight stutters, so probably capping that frame rate would be a good idea. Or running this one at like a 1600 by 900 or 720p resolution would get us a locked 60. But this is just an example of a game I personally would play on a handheld like this. And I absolutely suck at it too, by the way. I was playing this for a while, but then I was just getting absolutely whooped by all the bosses and I stopped. And maybe I'll go back to playing this game a little bit, but it's a very cool Souls-like game if you are someone who's interested in that style. I know the genre is not for everyone, but if you are somebody, you'll have a pretty good time playing this game, especially on a handheld. If I remember right, the whole idea behind this game, it is very much dodge parrying. So you want to dodge and stun lock your enemy and then take them out. I don't even think I did it right, but... Oh! Let's go. All right, let's just go run around and get our ass beat by this boss again. All right, yep, run into that wall. I'll hit you. Oh, nope, let's not do that. See, I can't even hit these parries right. Let's see, let's try again. No, immediate death. All right, guys, so we finished all the benchmarks on this handheld. We have a good experience of what it can do and what it can't do. Let's go ahead and conclude all our thoughts and wrap this video up.
So we just gave you guys a slew of games to look at, from things like Forza all the way down to things like the Master Chief Collection. You guys could tell this handheld will play anything. It's just like a low-end PC in a way, where you have to be okay with doing some upscaling. And keep in mind, it's a 1080p display. You can always just lower the res in those games like 720p, and there shouldn't be much of anything that it can't play.
So if you are interested in the ROG Xbox Ally, not the Ally X, check the link down below. It's a affiliate link and will help us out. If you are somebody who's in the handheld market, would you save your money and buy this for $599? Honestly, our recommendation. Or would you spend more money on the Ally X? You are getting much more performance, but you are spending $1,000, which is a lot to swallow when it comes to the price of the handheld. But I do think this console is a little bit slept on in terms of its price performance. And I think the benchmarks do show if you can deal with the Windows quirks or maybe just load up something like Bazite or SteamOS, you would have a pretty good price performance handheld even in 2026.
So as always, we hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure you check out our other 2 YouTube channels and also our twitch.tv/toastybros. Do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
See you on the next one. Bye-bye.
Now, if you want to check out PCBros.tech, we actually do often sell handhelds, laptops, and full gaming PCs.
This specific one will be for sale at PC Bros, and the guy up front, Jake, really loves handhelds. So if you ever have any questions about handhelds, you want to come in and talk to him about them, he knows a lot about it, and also gaming PCs. Use code ToastyBros on checkout. You will save 3% of your next purchase. See you guys later. Goodbye.